Welcome to this edition of Access Together. These shows are made possible through the combined efforts of Shelby County Schools and GHS-TV. The shows are hosted by the members of the community and utilize the staff and facilities of Germantown High School. If you would like to watch our live stream or get more information about these shows, log on to our website, ghstv.org. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the following presentation.
Welcome to Let's Talk Money. My name is Kelly Bolton and this is my co-host Harvey Cook. We thank you for tuning in as we have the distinct pleasure of hosting our community's foremost business leaders. Our next guest is at the helm of one of Memphis's best family-owned companies, and we're honored to have with us Jennifer Pentecost Sims share with us Power & Tel's formula for professional success, both on a company level as well as an employee level. So here's a quick look at the company.
Power & Tel is proud to announce our Women Business Enterprise National Certification. Here to tell you more is Jennifer Sims, our CEO.
Power & Telephone Supply Company is a 50-plus-year-old distributor that ships to more than 70 countries all across the world. We pride ourselves in our family ownership and our ability to offer end-to-end communication solutions.
Since 1963, Power & Tel has been a market leader in the procurement, sales, and distribution of communications products. We partner with top manufacturers to cost-effectively deliver the product you need, when and where you need it. Our portfolio of industry-best solutions includes products for data centers, wireless, and FTTX. Our expertise as a true supply chain partner can help you focus on meeting all your customers' needs while satisfying your profit objectives.
Thank you for sharing Power & Tel's commitment to diversity. If you'd like more information about our products and services, or if you'd like to know how we can help you meet your diversity goals, visit us online.
So without further ado, please welcome Jennifer Pentecost Sims. Jennifer, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much, Kelly and Harvey, for having me on the show, and to Germantown High School for hosting. What a wonderful privilege it is to be back as a former GHS graduate.
That is so cool. You graduated from GHS.
I did actually graduate from here, and so it's a real treat and always a privilege to work with such esteemed folks here.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, we enjoyed the clip, and I think before we actually started the show, you were telling me you actually were not in theater yourself, but you did have a close friend who was, and now is involved in, what you said, Michael J. Fox's production company.
Yes, there's a number of folks who have graduated from here and gone on to do wonderful things. So I think that's proof that the program works and is a blessing to the neighborhood and the community at large, which is really exciting.
Wonderful. Even though you didn't go into theater, you obviously have done some great things for our community, and thanks for sharing with us the clip. Harvey, I know you had a question you wanted to ask her.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about working for a family business like you have. What are some of the joys and what are some of the challenges in doing that?
Well, first and foremost, it's more of a joy than a challenge. That's very important. You should always pick joy over challenge. But many years ago, one of the things that I was asked was, by my grandfather, would you like to join the family business? And then he followed with, now you'd get to work with your dad on a regular basis. Who could pass up getting the chance to work with their dad? At least I couldn't, and I thought, what a great opportunity. So I did take the challenge, and I would say the one big challenge that you face every day as you make decisions is, will I be invited to Thanksgiving?
Right.
Because you know it's a good decision if you're still going to be invited to that Thanksgiving meal. And that's the way we run our business. That caring and that empathy and that idea that we're one team is something that I think carries forward and works well with everything we do.
Well, I think that's really neat, and having the opportunity to come onto your corporate campus, you can tell. It's just like one big family. Some of you just happen to be blood relatives.
That's true. Some of us are blood, and some of us are more relatives because of the time we spend together.
Absolutely. Well, I know you said you started here at GHS, or at GHS at Germantown High School, and but I know that you didn't go straight from here to college, and then you just took over the company. What was the path that you took to take the helm of this, fabulous family business?
Oh, well, that's a great question, and I appreciate it being asked. I did not start my career off with the thought, oh, let's go into distribution and let me be a part of the family business. I actually worked for lots of circumstances, for Northwest and KLM Airlines for a while as a Dutch interpreter. And it was during their merger time, so they were very focused on getting those systems set up, right? They had some in English, some in Dutch, some in all different kinds of languages. It was a lot of fun. And as I spent time there, I realized that I had a passion for systems, and I really had a passion for systems as they relayed into results that everybody could see and tangibly touch. Wow, if you reroute, you can really make a difference. And so I went back and got my MBA, and then spent some time at IBM and then at HP. And while I was at HP doing lots of things that I really enjoyed, I was asked by my grandfather to join the family business. And after some careful consideration, I said, I will, with one caveat. I'll be glad to take all my passion and pour it into P&T. I have to start from the ground up. I only know systems and management. I don't know distribution. So that's what I did. I started in the warehouse and worked my way up.
How impressive. And I'm sure it gave those around you a wonderful, comfortable feeling that as you lead, you know exactly what they're referring to when they say, we're having a problem on this side of the business, or we're having a problem here. You can speak to it because you were there.
I think it gives a little more, hopefully more clarity of focus, and hopefully everybody realizes that I've at least tried it. I mean, I've been, whether successful or not, I've sat in similar shoes. And I think that there's a lot of benefit when you run an organization to have been in all the piece parts, because that's what makes the world work, right? Mm-hmm. It's not one person, it's a group, and it's a collection of people doing the same thing. So.
Well, that's what they always say about, if you learn how to build a widget, you can sell a widget, but you got to learn how it's built.
How to build it first.
How to build it first. Interesting.
Well, Jennifer, we know that your company's been really successful by any measure. Can you give us some of the reasons why you think the company's been so successful, even before you were there and now after you've been there?
Oh,
is there a secret?
That's a big one. I would start with consistency of vision and focus, and that focus on longevity. So the idea that my grandfather spent so many years at the helm, leading as the entrepreneur founder, and then leading the business, and then that transitioned ever so slowly to my father, and he's led for more than 25 years, and now he's still our chairman and my mentor, thankfully, as I transition. I think that provides that continuity and that vision that everybody needs to stay focused and be able to get the work done. Because in the end, if you pull out your phone and you hit send on it, all that infrastructure, that's what we provide all around the world, just to make it more tangible. And that can be pretty simple. Well, it's just moving a box. No, it's quite
not just
complex,
moving a box, right.
And it's really exciting and something worthwhile, because if I can lower that spend on the infrastructure, then all of our bills go down, and that's really making a difference.
And then that passes on to the end user, which is wonderful.
And that's the goal.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's really neat, because your vision, keeping it not short-sighted, keeping it with a long-term goal in mind, not only helps you and your company's profitability and your employees, but helps us, the end user. So they're telling me I've got to take a break. So we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll continue our discussion with Ms. Jennifer Pentecost Sims.
Welcome to Germantown High School, an international baccalaureate creative and performing arts optional school, a destination school for students who are going places.
Our students are of the highest caliber when it comes to their academics and knowledge.
The IB program is a very rigorous program.
You were challenged in a way that you thought you couldn't be challenged. you succeeded, something that other kids may not have thought they could do.
They're accepted to colleges that are just, dream colleges for so many people.
Germantown High School offers a CAPA program, the Creative and Performing Arts program.
When I first came here, I saw the television studio and I was just amazed at what all I saw.
Kids do everything, that they're taught every detail that has to do with theater arts and creative arts.
I love a lot of things about Germantown High School, but primarily what I love is the athletics. There's something exciting around every single corner.
We probably are one of the most diverse high schools in the state of Tennessee, maybe the United States.
I would never doubt about sending your child to Germantown High School.
This high school is something not like any other high school that we have.
There's definitely fun in the work. We find fun in everything we do.
You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Money. If you're just tuning in, I'm Harvey Cook, and this is my co-host Kelly Bolton. And today we've been talking with Jennifer Pentecost Sims, the CEO of Power & Tell, as she shares her vision for the company as well as the employees. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you, Harvey.
Jennifer, you're a mother. You're a housekeeper, you're CEO of a big company, you got a lot going on. How do you balance all that?
Well, I learned from the two of you.
You did?
I did.
How was that?
Well, every time that you come to Power & Tell and you talk with us about some of our financial planning, which we really appreciate.
Well, thank you.
One of the things that I notice is that you're right there with us. Be where you are. That's my very first, not advice. Socrates was killed for advice.
Right.
So we won't go down that path.
Right.
But we will go down the path of something that I take away is always be where you are. If you're at home, be at home with your kids, your family, and all those things. If you're at work, then be at work. Be focused on getting the job done. If we're talking about financials and data and how do we make more, then let's talk about that and be right there. And if you're not happy with where you are, then where would you want to be? And take the opportunity to write it down and map out a plan to get there.
That's great advice. And I'll tell you,
not advice, remember.
Remember, yeah, we're not going to get killed for that. I know you and I have shared many times about the role we play as working mothers. And, you know, we talk about, I know we've talked about, you know, you get in the car and you're driving home from work, and as you approach the home, it's kind of shake it off, go to mother mode. You know, and it's kind of like you have to switch the gears really quickly, and then as you walk back in the door of the office, I kind of think it's like Wonder Woman. You know, we have different outfits for different things.
Do you track things? You know, I've gotten my phone. I take notes now, and and so that I can take that and set it aside and actually be where I am, because it's important.
And you know, with the age of the telephone, the cell phone, it has made it much more difficult to be where you are, which is really great advice. But with that cell phone constantly ringing or texting, it continues to connect you to all these other places, whether it's your work or your friends or your family. It makes it's been a blessing, but it's also been something that makes it more difficult. So,
that's for sure.
Well, I'll tell you, we have been blessed to be able to come out and share our ideas about financial planning with your employees, and we are so it's such a pleasure every time we get to come. And the one thing that we're always stricken by is the fact that you've got long-term employees, and they all have such a sense of belonging and feel so included, and have no vision for leaving. It's usually just planning for when they retire. Whether they're 20, we're planning for retiring from Power & Tell, or whether they're 50, planning on retiring from Power & Tell. And some that could retire don't want to retire yet. How are you doing it? What's the secret?
Well, we take our hiring process seriously. You've heard it before, people are your biggest asset, and they really are. Because if you get a group of folks together aiming in the same direction, you can move mountains, and I think we know that. But then how do you get that to happen? And we talked earlier about families and the importance of belonging. Well, we start with our cultural fit. It's important, and so when you come to interview, we have multiple folks who interview you, and we're looking for, are you going to fit in? Do we think we can hand you a camel jacket way on down the road as a precursor to retirement, not retirement, but way precursor? And those things are important. And then we look at the whole person. Are we providing them incentives for their benefits that make sense and are above and beyond the norm? Are there scholarships available if they're young? Are there retirement plans? We share our profits. All of those things you'd normally consider. But I think the real key is part of our vision is that employees refer other employees. And the real kicker of what we do and how we do it is said by our folks. The last number of hires we've had, more than 50% of them have been employee referrals.
That's interesting. They say it's the greatest compliment
that's the cornerstone
you can have.
of, I want it to be a place where everybody enjoys, understands what's expected of them, and has fun.
Now that's neat, because if someone refers, like if we have clients that refer to us, that's the greatest compliment we could get, because they think that they love us enough, they want their friends to love us too. And I'm sure they love where they come to work enough. They wouldn't bring their friends in if they didn't think it was a great place to be.
That's my hope, right? And I think that speaks more volumes than me saying anything else.
It does.
I'm going to ask you a question, but before I do, I'm going to tell you a quick little story. The first time I came to your headquarters, and I don't even think you were working there at the time, and I was talking to your CFO, and we were trying to earn your company's retirement plan business. And he said, I want to show you what we do. And he took me over to the window and he pointed to a telephone pole. And he said, everything that's on that pole, connected to that pole, we sell.
Yeah.
Well, times have changed. Now it's all connected to the phone, I guess. So.
Well, both the pole. So we sell outside plant, and we sell the wireless and the data centers, all the piece parts.
So y'all have done a lot more.
We've evolved a little.
Since those days. Is it harder now to control costs with all you're doing than it used to be? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I have a real practical example for it. You mentioned how things have changed. Productivity 20 years ago got a substantial boost with all the technology. Suddenly we had voicemail, suddenly we had the way to leave messages and connect with each other. And that was really a positive move forward. But over the last 20 years, that's declined, and it's declined greater than the rate of inflation. Well, why in the world would that be? Well, so I got to thinking about it. When my grandfather got calls as the CEO, maybe he got 20 a day, and he had an executive administrator who would handle those, and you could really think about him, give focus, and pay attention as needed and move things forward. How many calls do each of you get on average a day? Work calls. There's no, it went from 20 to maybe a few thousand up to, you know, if you're incredibly popular and trying to sell things. That's a huge difference. So that study, Harvard Business Review did a study about all of this, and they said that productivity has actually declined, costs have gone up, and it's been in reverse order. So I would say that that would hold true for us as well.
Do you think it's because now you're expected to do more and more because of because technology can handle the volume, meaning at any given day the volume of emails I have is enormous. So I'm getting phone messages, messages on my cell phone, messages on my home email, my work email, and although you can quickly respond to an email, because we can be reached much easier, then there's a lot more work, so then it does kind of you know, slow down sometimes productivity.
I'm going to let you answer that question after the break. It's now time for our next break, but when we return, we'll finish our discussion with Jennifer Pentecost Sims, so please stay tuned.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision-making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Hey, look, it's those guys.
Get some drinks.
Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be?
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV. nationally recognized student television station.
Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Money. Today we're honored to have Jennifer Pentecost Sims, and with just a little time left, we want to jump back and finish our exciting discussion with Jennifer about exciting developments with Power and Tell. Jennifer, before the break, Kelly had asked you a question. You want to follow up on that?
Well, I just wanted to make mention that if you look at your telephone bill, your cable bill, your wireless bill, have they gone up in the last few years in cost? Not much, right? And everybody's got those deals. But your bandwidth, the amount that you're using from them, has that increased?
Sure.
That's part of what we do, is provide that infrastructure. So if you're not seeing your bill go up, then our costs must have had to change.
I see.
So
I see.
that's all.
So you have a lot of competition in your business, I know, like other businesses. And how do you differentiate yourself?
That's a really good question. I think if you line up, we're in distribution and supply chain, if you line up all the distributors and the supply chain providers and say, now who here supplies communication infrastructure to build our communication highways, a handful would step forward. Then you'd say, okay, out of those, who here can provide global solutions? Yet another handful would step forward. Okay, out of that, how many here are considered historically underutilized businesses, meaning 51% owned and operated by a woman or minority or any kind of subgroup out there? Yet again, just a few people would come in to play. And then you might say, well, who here handles the breadth of the communication products? So wireless and wireline and outside plant and data centers. And really we would be one of the few left standing once you got all said and done.
So you're doing it all.
We're trying to provide a breadth versus deep.
I got you. So there's been a gazillion new government regulations.
Oh my gosh.
There's so much new technology. How do you handle all that?
Well, for all of those lawmakers out there, every time you add in another law, we all pause and try and figure it out, and it stops our businesses.
Right.
So please, less regulation is more.
Right.
And I'll go on camera as saying that. But one of the things that we do is we've got an HR group, and they carefully vet through and make sure that we're following all the rules from an HR. Now, what about the industry itself? They have their own set of rules, and we work closely with industry associations. In fact, I sit as an executive board member on TIA, the Telecommunications Industry Association, their treasurer, and one of the things that we're trying to do is make sure to set the stage for those standards as they come up so that they can go through, so that as new technology comes into play, it's not stopped because of a law or a regulation, that it can continue to move forward, and we get the best of all. So excited to be a part of that.
And do you see these regulations? Do they come like in waves, or are they just?
No, waves, and dependent on the administration.
Right.
Every different administration gives you a different set of rules.
Right. Right. Can you tell us? I'm going to ask for advice again. For people who might be seeking employment at your company, what advice do you have for them, or actually any place else? And since we have a lot of great students that are doing this show, they might like to hear that as well.
Well, employment's a big thing. First off, we have openings. We are always looking for good folks. So if you have an interest in helping to build the communications highway with us, please do apply on our website. The other thing I would say is we've got a lot of really strong, smart folks who have initiative, they have integrity, they have intelligence, and they have the ability to know different people within the marketplace and really bring that to bear. We always look for that kind of well-roundedness as we go out to the market. But not advice, but some suggestions. When you close your eyes and you think about where you want to be and what you want to do all day, and you've got that in your mind as a student or as an executive, then work towards it. You know what that looks like, so go figure out more about what skills are involved and what attributes you need. You know, if somebody said to me, I really like to heal, maybe I could be a doctor. Well, I could not be a doctor. I haven't been to med school. So there are some things that are just flat out. But for the most part, you can work towards almost any goals. And I would encourage anybody who's got a dream to follow it and find it. And hopefully you'll consider coming to join us at Power and Tell.
That's a great message. The employees that come to work for you, how do they go about, if they're interested in getting ahead at your company, not just working, how do they go about getting future promotions?
That's a good question. I think it all goes back to, if you make a difference and you're really where you are and trying to move forward and generating ideas and optimism and asking for what else can I do and I really want to be there, it's a two-way street. The clearer communication you have about what you want to do, the clearer the path is as an employer to say, that might be a good fit, or maybe have you thought about this because we have an opening here.
And do you, for exceptional employees, and I know you identify those as you go along, do you sort of groom them for future management positions? Do you move them through different departments? And what's your plan for that? How do you handle that?
That's an evolutionary process, if I ever heard one. A long time ago with my grandfather, you worked your way up through the business. So you'd start in the warehouse and progress into sales, inside sales and outside sales, and into management. And we have a number of folks still with us who have gone through that progression to become senior level vice presidents. And I'm thrilled to death that that's the case, because I think that gives you a foundation of knowing what the team is trying to do, and because you've done it, you're a better manager for it.
And can you tell us a little bit about your initial training program at the company, just briefly?
Our initial training, we do rotations. We let them know what to expect. Then we have rotations. We have something called Power and Tell University. We gather our new hires after they've been there a certain length of time to make sure that we're all happy with one another for a week, and they learn everything top to bottom about the organization. So it's been very helpful to make sure that they're well exposed to what they might want to do.
So they see everything.
They see everything early on.
That's great. That's great. Well, Jennifer, once again, I'd like to thank you for being on the show as CEO of Power and Tell. And for more information on our show, please check us out on the web at GHS-TV.org, where we are streaming live 24 hours a day. You can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. We hope you will join us again next month on Let's Talk Money.